This is the same player, same racket, same courts, but completely different serves. It all changed with one simple adjustment to her toss. If your serve feels weak, awkward, or like you're falling backwards after contact, your toss is probably the reason. Many players don't realize how far back their toss actually is and how much power they're leaving on the table. Today I'm going to show you exactly how we fixed this player's toss and how it instantly gave her a more athletic swing, stronger contact, and a huge confidence boost. You can make those same improvements too. Before we get into the step-by-step drills that resulted in this huge improvement, I want you to watch some world-class professional players hitting serves. Watch Carlos's energy as he goes up and hits these serves. You'll notice that his momentum and his force is driving off the ground in two directions. He's driving upwards and he's also driving forwards. And the result of those two forces colliding together into the ball means if we draw a line directly down from where contact is at a 90-degree angle, you'll see that the ball, if he just let it drop from this position and it wasn't traveling, forward or back, he's making contact several feet inside the baseline. The reason why he's able to just propel himself and launch himself into the point of contact is because of where he's placed the ball. All of this energy, watch how his body unwinds and he drives up and into the court at about a 45-degree angle up through the point of contact. He needs this upward energy to clear the nets and to create some shape, and he needs the forward energy to create as much power and speed so the ball gets to his opponent, or hopefully past his opponent, as fast as possible. Both those forces are critical, and the toss location really enables all of this propulsion into the point of contact. Here's a serve from Iga. Watch for the same directions of momentum, the same directions of energy. And look at how she propels herself, launches herself up into the point of contact and into the court. See how much momentum and energy she has transferring into the court past the baseline. It almost looks like she's trying to jump a hurdle or something over into the court. And just like Carlos, if we draw a straight line down from where the ball is going to be made contact with, you'll see that she's several feet inside the court, making contact with the ball. And just like Carlos, her upper body is at about a 45-degree angle. All of this energy is critical to hit a world-class serve like Carlos and Iga. Here's my student's serve now before we did any training, any drills, any explanation. And I want you to watch for those same flows of energy that we saw from Carlos and Iga. We're not seeing any kind of launch up off the court, and we're not seeing any kind of launch inside the court either. So she's just not utilizing her momentum, her energy, her athleticism. She does have a fantastic flowing, smooth swing with her arm and with her racket. And so you can tell she's a good athlete, but there's just so much energy and force that's being bottled up. And at the end of the day, her contact location is just not enabling her to really do much with her body. Look at this point of contact. If I draw a line down from where she's meeting the ball, on this serve, the ball is actually behind the baseline. So how can you possibly explode up into the point of contact if the ball is behind you? Now, this is the worst case scenario, but her average, if we go through a bunch of her serves, you'll see that the ball on average is right about the baseline or maybe a couple inches behind it. So there's just no room to utilize her full body in order to hit a powerful, explosive shot. After I showed her a video of her serve and compared it to a bunch of professional players from that same angle, I took out a little marker here, a little strip, and that marker is the goal for her to put her toss in the air and have the ball fall down on top of it. Her average toss was landing right around the baseline or maybe a little bit behind it. My goal was to get her to make contact about a foot inside the baseline. And so here's her initial practice as she tries to make that happen. These first initial practice ones are really important just to kind of calibrate and understand where in space do I need to actually put my toss location. Now, after several practice ones, she just goes ahead and tries to hit it, and this is much better, and this is critical. There's a big contrast between feel and real. It feels, and I guarantee you, if I had asked her ahead of time, hey, do you think you're making contact in front of your body or behind your body? She would have said in front, because everybody knows you're supposed to toss out in front and lead yourself into the court. This, to her, feels like way further in front than what she's used to. And it is. She's now placing the ball a little bit in front of the baseline instead of behind the baseline. But you can see here that she's not even close to hitting the location that we wanted to, which was about a foot inside the baseline. She's only a fraction of the way there after her first couple practice ones, and so we need to keep pushing the envelope here. So I showed her the footage of her first hit, and she was kind of disappointed. She was kind of bummed out. She's like, oh man, I thought that was way further out in front. In case you're a little skeptical about the whole feel versus real thing, this is immediately after I showed her the video. She went back to practice again, and she likes this toss, and she's like, okay, that's way further in front. And she tells me, oh, I need to do it like this. I need to put my arm out into the court further. She had been told previously that her arm should go along the baseline. Another coach had told her previously that, well, Roger Federer tosses with his arm along the baseline, so that's what you should do too. And so she was kind of doing that, but you can see the momentum of her hand and the ball is actually going backwards. Like she's arcing her arm and her hand in this direction. So it's going to be very difficult to ever get the ball out in appropriate position to be able to lead her body and propel her entire kinetic chain into the court. And when we look at Federer, you can see that his arm does travel parallel to the baseline, but notice how his hand and the ball are actually traveling slightly forwards. He's starting with the ball behind the baseline and then raising his arm up parallel to the baseline. So there's going to be some forward energy to the ball. And so when he makes contact, even though his arm was parallel to the baseline, the ball is still being hit well inside the baseline on this particular serve, about a foot and a half or so, just like we saw from Carlos and we saw from Iga. So this is like, style versus substance. Does Roger's arm go parallel to the baseline? Yeah. But do we need to copy that? No, because look at Carlos and look at Iga. Here's that serve of Carlos's that we just looked at. I don't know about you, but I'd be happy to trade serves with Carlos any day of the week. He's raising his arm probably out about 45 degrees or so into the court. So he's not tracing his arm along the baseline. He's tossing into the court. And then here's the serve from Iga that we just looked at. She's not tossing along the baseline. Her arm and her hand are also going inside the court by probably about 45 degrees or so. She's not tossing along the baseline. Here's the bottom line though, and I kept telling this to my student, I don't care whether you toss along the baseline or into the court with your arm. We just need to put the ball in the right place over and over and over again consistently. Use whatever style you want. This is where analyzing the pros and getting like super detailed and nuanced can get people into trouble. Just because one player does something one way, if another pro does it completely different, it means it's not an essential. It's not a critical element. And so when players do things different ways, that's a stylistic element. It's not a fundamental athletic law that we have to follow. And this is one of those things. But here's what I really want to stress here. When my student practices this, her arm here on this practice one raises mostly parallel to the baseline. Maybe it's just a few inches inside the baseline. When she looks at the bounce and she sees that it was a good one, she does something totally different with her left arm. She goes, look, oh, now I get it. I need to go inside the base. Well, that's not how she even did it. And she's like, oh, now I get it. I need to put my arm inside the baseline. And then watch her very next practice one as she raises her arm. She's like, oh, now I get it. Her arm goes right back to parallel to the baseline again. If you ever, hopefully you don't need any more evidence that this contrast between feel and real is your biggest enemy. It's all of our biggest enemies. We think we're doing things with a certain picture in our mind, and we're like, oh, yes, yeah, this is the way I do it. But then when we actually do it and actually execute it, we're usually a little bit different than we think. That is like the biggest hurdle that we need to jump over in order to keep improving our skills and leveling up. Following the drills in today's video are going to unlock smooth, easy power on your serve. And if you'd like to do the exact same thing on your forehand ground stroke, make sure to go to forehandpower.com, where in free training, I'll show you how to add 15 miles per hour of speed to your forehand ground stroke in just 15 minutes of practice. And you don't need a ball machine or a coach or a practice partner. Just bring a couple of balls to your local courts, do the step-by-step drills that I lay out in that training, showing real-world examples, real-world students, just like the serve training you're seeing in today's lesson. And if you copy the drills, you will add a huge amount of smooth, effortless, athletic power to your forehand. Just go to forehandpower.com and sign up for the free training. So I allow my student to continue to get some practice reps here, get the hang of this different location on the toss. You'll see a couple of swings in here, and she's making progress. She's moving in the right direction. Consistently, her tosses are moving closer and closer to the yellow line, but you'll see that when she hits the ball, over and over again, she continues to make contact. It's better, but it's like just barely inside the baseline. And so consistently, she's like tossing yellow line, yellow line, yellow line. And her brain is like, okay, yep, that's it, that's it, that's it. But also her brain, as soon as it knows, okay, I'm gonna hit this one, it's sucking her toss back again closer to the baseline because that's her comfort zone. That's what she's used to. That's the habit she's repeated tens of thousands of times. So after watching this pattern for several minutes, good practice toss, but too far back on the actual hit, I walk out and I'm like, okay, we need to do something different here because we're just not moving the needle as far as I'd like on the actual hits. So I extend her target location here with the marker, and I keep pushing her, go farther, go farther. And even though I push it further out, on this particular one, here's where she hits the ball, there's the point of contact, she's still just a couple inches inside the baseline. So I'm starting to tell her at this point, go past the line, go as far as you can, because exaggeration is needed in order to break out of these ruts, leave these bad old habits, and actually move in a meaningful direction, in a meaningful amount towards better quality execution. When I'm working with students in person, I try to save the word exaggerate in case like we really, really need it. And I want you to watch what happens here. We had a big breakthrough here with this student. I just want you to listen and watch. I want you to go for it. Yep. Go for that. Go. Yeah, good. Nice job. Huge kudos to this student because I'm really pushing her and trying to get her to go way out of her comfort zone here. And now look at her body. And just in full transparency here, this is actually exaggerated. Like most of the time, we don't want her this far extended out, but the athleticism here and the energy, and look at how she's being forced to propel herself and leave the court surface and jump. And now her upper body's at a 45-degree angle, just like we saw from those professional players. And at the point of contact, if we draw a line down now, she's just outside of where I placed that marker. She's about 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet inside the baseline. For this player at her height and her strength and balance, this is a little too far, but we can always come back 10% and be like, okay, let's like meet in the middle somewhere. The hardest part of improving at tennis is this first big jump in the right direction. And I'm telling you, almost always, with everything you try to improve, it's going to be much farther, like 5 times farther in whatever direction you're trying to improve your contact point or your grip or the angle of the racket or the toss location or like whatever. You're probably going to have to push yourself way past where you think you're going to need to go in order to move in a positive direction and break your old habit. Watch the contrast now in energy delivery. Here's the practice one she just did. Watch the flow of energy through the ball and into the court. And now here's her original one. Watch the huge contrast here in her flow of energy. I mean, there's nothing going on here. By the way, just for context, these original serves, I asked her, go for your biggest serve. Hit your first serve like you're trying to win a free point. And this was the best she could do before. And now with this new toss location, she's unwinding tremendous amounts of force and energy through the point of contact. Now that she gets how far she needs to push herself, the name of the game is repetition, good quality reps. I just want you to watch this quick montage of her. This is after that kind of big breakthrough. Look at how much force she's pushing through the point of contact. On a lot of these, she's looking like a baseball pitcher finishing after going down the mound towards home plate, releasing the ball towards the catcher. Huge amounts of force and energy. Hopefully you can copy these same drills and unlock huge amounts of your own force and energy on your serve. And if you'd like to do the same thing on your forehand, make sure to go to forehandpower.com. Grab that free training where I'll show you step by step how to add 15 miles per hour of force to your forehand in just 15 minutes of practice. Thanks so much for watching today. Hope this was super helpful, and I'll catch you in the next lesson.